Greetings and peace, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Tonight, I have the honor and privilege of being joined by the Captain Slappy. I first encountered Captain Slappy when I was about to graduate high school back in 2011, and I really loved his work, which inspired me to even write an essay in college on how the United States is a corporation and not a country. And the way he teaches is amazing, where you'll find good music, humor, and also education at the same time about the nature of the elements that are surrounding us. So, without further ado, welcome to Captain Slappy. Thank you so much, my friend.
Why, hello, peasantry and worker underclass. It is I, Captain Slappy. Well, actually, it's Uncle Sal is the show, not me. It's his show. Anyway, I am honored. I never thought anyone would write a paper on any of the idiotic stuff that I do, but especially the United States stuff, because originally my channel, my stuff was only meant, I've said it a million times, only meant for a handful of friends and stuff, as trying to understand why certain things don't work, right? You know, it's not like it's taught in civics, right? Not here, not when I was a kid, though we were kind of taught by old timers that, yeah, it's not what you think it is, but what they're telling you is this. That's not how we ever looked at it. You know what I mean? Like my grandpa and everyone else. It's like, yeah, just ignore it. And then, of course, one day I got into my street level stuff, which we'll bypass unless Sheik wants to know some about it. But in order
Oh
to
yes,
accomplish,
yes, please. Please tell us who you are and how you came to do all of this. I want the full soup on the Captain Slappy.
well, see, I'm a random drunk hobo, and I just came across Excalibur in a rock, and I pulled it out, and I was like, yes, I'm the king now. How do you like that? You like that? I can sell anything almost. But now it was just years ago. I started in the oil field, saw a lot of crime, a lot of drugs, and a lot of different stuff. Helped recover some stolen stuff, and I don't know why, but it escalated from there into drug networks, murders. You take your pick, and corruption and stuff. And so I had to figure out how to navigate it without ending up either dead in a ditch or in prison for the rest of my life because I irritated the wrong people. So, as you might think, it's not all that complicated, but it is complicated when you want to look at it like that. It's how do I make sure I don't get whacked? You know what I mean? And be the honest guy, the decent dude, not doing any of this stuff, but cleaning it up just so I can go outside and not get shot by a random crackhead or whatever.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And I know when I started encountering your stuff, Captain Slappy, I really like your choice of music. It helped me discover a lot of good tracks that are out
Hey,
there.
that right there, my man, I did that for everyone. You have no clue how many times my channel was almost wiped out because of that. And then at some weird point, YouTube said, nah, let him go. Let him. And it's like, uh-oh, I can feel it coming. Hollywood's going to get me. They're going to get me, the music industry. The only one that ever said no, just like randomly, not to me personally, was Billy Corgan, right?
Uh-huh.
Smashing Pumpkins. I once used one of his songs and it was immediately struck, and I was like, well, I like Billy Corgan, so I'm not going to. In a way, I've met Billy Corgan, but my point was, I never did that again. I was like, okay, we'll let that go. We'll let that one go. Billy wins.
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
but yet,
definitely.
yet, if you like, the Insane Clown Posse said, no, go ahead. No, go ahead. I was like, well, guess who my favorite artists are right now? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, go ahead, Sheik. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. My first question is, Captain Slappy, is the United States still owned by the British colony, or does it have a corporate nature? If you could go into the details of that. Many people think that this is a free country, but how is the city of London and the British Crown involved in the USA?
Geez, Louise, you're the one that did the paper on it, not me. Well, I'm kidding. Uh, it depends on how you look at it. I'm not. This is a game that's harder to explain that people don't understand. Like to ask me, okay, hey, why is this? Well, hold on, I don't have all the information. I do not know the backroom dealings of a Rockefeller, of King Charles, or anything along those lines. I can only tell you what I've dug up, and what I've dug up is if you go with the Declaration of Independence and the Treaty of Paris, it depends on how you look at it. The Treaty of Paris is really clear. United States corporation, Britain runs your basic treasury deal, right? We owe them money, or we did at one time. Now, I've never seen any paper saying, no, we're good, we're done. I've never seen that. That doesn't mean they don't exist. It means I haven't found them or something along those lines. I'm hoping that kind of helps. The City of London is its own corporation. I don't know if you would consider them sovereign per se, because that's under the King's Dome, which I was the first one to do that. Thank you very much. That people didn't realize with the the Book of the Dead. I'll try to remember it here in a minute. But when they did the assays of all the kingdoms and put them under the King's Dome. Okay. Oh, Domesday. Everybody says the Doomsday Book, right? I kept reading that and thinking that was so weird. The original wasn't Doomsday, it was Dome's Day, King's Day, or Dominion. All right. So when you're looking at London, I don't know if that's still that, if it's still there. And I don't know exactly how it still connects with the U.S. now. I can only tell you what it used to 150 years ago. So I know that's not really an answer you was looking for, Sheik. I'm trying though.
No, no, that's good because even my home country of Pakistan, when they got their independence from the British Crown in 1947, basically the person who became the founding father, his name was Muhammad Ali Jinnah. In his oath, like even in his oath, just like how you have the Treaty of Paris, he says that my loyalty is to the British Crown and their heirs and their successors. So a
Oh,
lot of these
I did not know
colonies.
that, Sheik. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of these colonies, my brother, supposedly when they get their independence from the British and the French, they are still covertly controlled with their policies to still favor, let's say, the colonist. Like even in Africa, many countries still paid the
That's
French colonial tax.
that's true. Very true on that. I had forgot about that. You are
So I
correct.
would say even with America, like they would probably still hold some weight because maybe it's easier to control a slave if you give them the illusion of freedom.
Well, now you are correct, but let us update this. Let us update our thinking on this to what if I just didn't tell anyone and they volunteered? Because that's what we're
Yeah,
doing now.
yeah, that's true.
I was not taught any of the stuff that I went through, and I caught tons of Billy Hell when I first started. Like when I went out and stated, okay, the United States is a corporation. There was a guy that was still on YouTube. I don't know if he's around anymore. I don't even know if he's alive anymore. Tenebroused. And he says, okay, this sounds great, Slappy. How about you prove it? And I said, you know what? That's an excellent idea. When I get done with this, you're going to know exactly what I know. And then we will not have an argument about this other the conspiracy stuff that I dislike, the faux conspiracy stuff that leads you away from a simple realization, right, Sheik? There was 13 original company colonies. They were private company colonies. They
Uh-huh.
got together repeatedly over the years and made a confederation corporation, which the South was. I still argue that the South was not. When they say the Confederacy, they mean the old United States before the United States, the Confederation.
Yeah.
The new United States is a new corporation that nobody wanted to join, as we know. I put those books up where they were making fun of George Washington and everyone. They're like, "Nah, we'd rather deal with the British." And it is what it is. People are greedy. People want money. People will lie to you. People will cheat you. That's all that is. And so you end up with the United States corporation. Now, the part that the British play, I absolutely agree that they're still there. It is what it is. You have Freemasons on both sides of the pond there. This is a very old game,
Yes.
and understanding the borders of it, of what is actually real, what they talk to with each other, like, hey, we're going to start a conflict with, let's say, Russia, and Russia is, our brothers, but we're going to use a dual system of, well, public facing and private, inner temple, outer temple, as you would know, Sheik.
Yes. Yes.
uh, in order to get the trade corporation going, expansion, collapse, rebuild, it's just old Rome new again. And old Rome was a corporation, as Constantine would tell you.
That's interesting because I have visited the Guildhall in the city of London, and
I
when
never
when
got
I
to go do none of that.
when I went there, like if you go on the bottom, it's built on top of Roman ruins, and the guys that are there, like they have more power than London itself. Even the king's not allowed to, or the queen is not allowed to go there without their permission. They have their own Lord Mayor, their own system, and
Oh, I did not know that. I did
when
not
I
know the Lord Mayor part.
when I
Nice.
when I saw those guys, like they were dressed as Roman senators. Like, so
Wow.
did Rome truly die, or does it still exist through the Vatican and through the city of London?
Okay, an excellent point by Sheik, which is why I like Sheik kids and neighbors. Is I mean, it should be common sense. Rome still plays a very large part. Okay, the Knights of Malta, Opus Dei, which is evidently coming back around in public, which is scary when you think about it. Because I put up my hands and I back away. It's like, no, no, no. I want to live to see tomorrow. I'll let that one go. Someone else deal with that one, right? I ain't touching that. You're not going to catch me going to New York City banging on the Freemason halls. Hey, man, I went. No, no, I'm good. I'm good. Right, I'm good. I guess you would say I'm allowed to exist as much as they're going to let me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it is nice to see. I do get to crow a little bit, Chic, and you too. I do like to see some of my work show up on TV sometimes. I'm sure you get a chuckle out of that as well sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And I got to put all the corporations on notice because the Captain Slappy and the Sheik are coming together using the power of the martial arts of Dim Mak,
Of
and they'll
Denmark,
take them all
of all the
down.
things for you to remember, that one was not the one I was thinking. I did that as a joke. It's like, yeah, all the internet people, you watch them and stuff. It's like, man, I'm a little rough on people, but it's like, listen, you people are no talent hacks. Get out of here. I'm going to do something, as a joke, as an aside. But I'm glad you remember it because, in case anybody was ever wondering, I know I'm bouncing around a lot. I get that. Stick with me here. I always, as Sheik knows, always try to bring her back around. But you get the journey, you get the show, right? You get the dinner and the show. You get the beginning and the end. We just got to take a while to get there. But uh, all of that stuff was meant to be somewhat entertaining. But the whole point was for people to look at it and go, okay, I'm going to go. Now that I know I'm going to read more, or I'm going to try to learn more, and I'm going to surpass Slappy, I'm going to go do my own stuff. That's the whole point. For you to run your local corporations, for you to run your city, county, state, and federal government. That's it. Done. That's it. I don't know why people aggravate it and turn it into something sideshowy, which is sometimes fun. I'm not that guy, though. I'm not the sideshow guy. I'm not a PR guy. I'm not a go out and do the sales pitch thing. I leave that to congressmen that send me letters that I'm not even registered, and they're like, here, it's like, what are you doing? Right? What are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you, Captain Slappy. And you're right, that clarification needs to be made, which goes to my next question. is, do we truly own anything in America? Like, even if you have a house, you pay the mortgage,
What? This is this
and
this question you already know the answer to. That's a softball question, man. That's a
so
softball.
if you don't own anything, then what are any of us doing here, right? You do you really
Ah,
truly own anything, or are we
excellent.
all
I,
just dead
still a
corporate
softball.
slaves?
Still a softball, but an excellent question nonetheless. Because I didn't expect any less from you, Sheik. I expected you to slide in some zingers, and that's not bad. I noticed that this is a thing. I know it's going to sound weird, but you get foreign intel agencies. Let me just go little to the side here. If I'm out of whack, you tell me I'm out of whack, Sheik. But you have foreign intel agencies that engage in certain things to rile up the population. One of the things that they
Yes.
love to do is say, you're just a peasant that doesn't know anything. Well, hold on. If I go to your country, I'm a peasant that don't know anything either. So let's back up. Originally, as designed, you don't own the land. In your
Mm-hmm.
lifetime, you have the right, through purchase, deeds, etc., to be recognized as the person to use the land because you can't ever
Yes.
truly own the land. I mean, a marmoset does not own the tree. You do not own the land. But to make sure, and I had to go, it was Roman era stuff that started that, or at least was brought back into, I cannot remember the book, but the point was the courts are designed for that. So it will always recognize I didn't say it works, Chic. Come on now. Come on now, baby. And we're not saying it works. We're saying it's supposed to recognize that you your rights pass to whoever, or you can sell those rights to the land. I mean, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
the
absolutely
design is the
right.
corporation oversees, but it's not supposed to just take land from you. I get the discussion where there's the angry part of it of, oh my God, I just realized I don't actually, and it's like, wait a minute, you're going to die one day. The whole design of the Roman stuff, which was the soldier, if he's missing in absentia, he's declared dead, so that can pass to the family, so they can just get it wrapped up and move on. All right.
Yeah.
The same thing with taxes. The taxes aren't to make money. The taxes are so you understand that the land you're purchasing privileges and rights to administer your rights. I guess is what you would say. Is that fairly close to what you was wanting to know?
Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. And thank you, Captain Slappy, for that answer. Which goes to my next question, my friend. What roles do secret societies have in the U.S. corporation, and in terms of the Catholic Church, the Vatican, the Masonic people, the Jesuits? What grand scheme of things, like even with the U.S. always being at war in most of its existence, what is the connection between all of that, between the military, American intel agencies, global war, and what these societies are wanting? What is their goal with the U.S. corporation?
You're really trying to get me whacked, ain't you? You are. You're just
No, no, no. I take full liability for this interview.
no, 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 no. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Sheik. I'm kidding. What I mean is uh, I get tired of. I don't know about you. I don't know about you. I've had my fun way back when with the Sasquatch conspiracy stuff and all that stuff. And the longer I go with it, the more you realize these. Well, now you were a Mason. I know Masons.
Yep.
Uh, it de- it depends on how you want to look at it. They are separated in class, from what I understand. But let me double back on you explaining that in London the king's not allowed in there. And let me explain a saying, which I don't know if you were taught the saying, but I came across it through a couple of Masons, which was the worst mistake Freemasonry ever made. What I would call real Freemasonry, not book Masonry. Uh, the biggest mistake that they ever made was allowing the royals in. That was the biggest mistake.
Yes.
Okay.
That's absolutely right. Because there was a book that I covered on the Knights Templars and the Islamic origins of Masonry. And in there, they tell you that in Scotland, because the original Grand Lodge is in Scotland, and the British came in, the royal family, and the Grand Master is always a part of the royal family. And they came and they saw it as a form of control for their imperialism, and they took it from the Scottish and kind of retook
Which is
that Mother
smart.
Grand
Now,
Lodge.
let's be real. If you're running a corporation empire, logically, it would dictate that you need spies because there are other countries wanting to take you out. That is the law. That's the real world. Okay. Now, I'm not saying I agree, Sheik. I'm just saying it is what it is. And this is
No,
what,
that's absolutely right.
4 centuries ago. It's not like I can go back in time and change it. I think people kind of think somehow going to, I'm not going to get angry over it. I can't do anything about it. That's already long gone. Uh, do you know how much hell I caught over trying to explain the Mel Gibson Braveheart? I can't remember his name. Not Robert the Bruce. Who did Mel Gibson play in Braveheart? Do you remember, Sheik?
I do not, unfortunately.
Well, that was straight up. If you ever watch the movie and ever read the story, that's basically Templar stuff. If you watch the movie, they're just talking about Templar stuff.
But
See,
it is based in Scotland, right?
yes, yes, it is. Yes,
Got it. Got it.
because the next one after him was Robert the Bruce, and Robert the Bruce united the clans. Well, gee,
Uh-huh.
I wonder if Freemasonry could have had anything to do with that. Templarism. It's just, I wonder who ever could figure out to take a group of people and make them a corporation. I don't know who would ever thought of that. You know, it's kind of weird how that works. So let me double back because I'm going to forget where I was at. So on the United States part, well, you have Freemasons, and everywhere else you got Freemasons. Uh, it depends on how you view it. In the old days here, there were nesters. Now, I know you understand this. Nesters went out as kind of like preachers to set up, I guess you would call it colonies. Okay. Uh, I don't know much more than that. I mean, as far as that goes, other than you can, as you know, you can read specific Freemasons talking to each other in books and etc. Which I call hell over the deal on Latin. When you go into legal texts and they've got Latin maxims there, and you're like, that maxim doesn't exist in Rome. Where did this maxim come from? And it's not a Latin maxim. When you break it down, it is a message to other members. It's a way of passing information to other members, which is what they used to do. Yet somehow nowadays people say that's a conspiracy theory. It's not a theory. That's what Freemasons used to do, as you well know, and other secret groups.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Captain Slappy. And it's like even with the American Civil War, most people do not realize that that was actually a covert war between the ancient accepted Scottish Rite, the northern jurisdiction, and the southern jurisdiction. So it's all relative, it's all connected. And these secret societies go even all the way back to Saladin and Richard the Lionheart. Most of these initiatic orders and societies have always dictated I guess, human existence. It's like even with what we're seeing with the current political paradigm. It's
Well,
like,
can I break in on that right there, Sheik, if you don't mind?
yeah, yeah, please.
Okay. Uh, the, one of the worst mindset. I'm not knocking you. One of the worst mindsets that I see on YouTube or just the internet generally, especially with the more conspiracy stuff, and I mean the ones that kind of border, they kind of try to get into the real conspiracy stuff, but it's like they can't quite comprehend it. Uh, is that you deflate your own power? Yes. Uh, let's take a group of Templars do have a driving force, but only if you let them and only if you agree. Because guess who's not in power right now? Right? Where are the Hospitallers? Where are the Teutonics?
Yep.
What you get what I mean? The they don't have power for long. they do tell you that they are all powerful, of course. And if you just trust in them, they'll help you out, buddy. Come on, get on the bus. Get on the bus, buddy. Get on. We're going to build a colony, buddy. And the reality is Raleigh, right? North Carolina, where it collapses because all you used was convicts and everyone hates you.
Yeah.
Right?
Remember that one video where you used that song on the Venga bus?
Yes, yes, yes. It's exactly that. As you know, what I mean is the only reason I broke in is because people depower themselves and say, I am a victim. What if, just going to blow everyone's mind, you're the CEO and you're just sitting on your ass not doing anything? What if you went and did something? Well, am I not living proof that that can happen?
That's absolutely right.
Okay, so you're not wrong. You're never wrong. People are never wrong when they say there is a group and it is shady and scary and freaky, man. They're hiding in your mailbox and under your bed. They're going to get you. They're going to get you, right? They're not really wrong, but you seem to think that you're important enough to them for them to ever notice. What if you became important enough and said, I don't like this? Now, what did Jesus say about the man that can kill your body?
Hmm.
Not, don't worry about that man. Worry about the man that can take your soul.
That's right.
So I think we need to worry less about, maybe getting whacked and more about not allowing someone to dictate your actions because you allow them to do so with emotion, being frightened of a scary Bohemian Grove, buddy. They're all out there going to get you, going to get you, going to get you. Yeah.
You
Now,
know, that's so interesting, Captain Slappy, because even in Freemasonry, they stress the importance. Like even when I went through my degrees, like in the second degree, the fellowcraft, they really stress the importance of using logic and reason. And this is exactly right. You have to be logical and use that logic and reason in a sound mind, body, and soul.
Uh, to me, the worst thing that I see, especially on YouTube, and I feel bad for people that get sucked into it, is it's always that I call it disgusting uh, emotional manipulation. I mean, because you've got kids out here, you've got kids, literal kids out here that are falling into these operations and different stuff. You know what I mean? Let's just take someone. I'm not going to mention any names, but someone that you don't like that just sells garbage, conspiracy garbage, right? uh, Fluff, Pap, those kids go and ruin their lives. They ruin any chance they ever had of being the next best mayor or council member or county commissioner you ever had because they got wrapped up in a moron that was trying to sell t-shirts. To me, there is no lower form of life than that. If you ask me, Sheik, sorry.
I agree. I agree. And, I call these people the agents of chaos. And I stress the importance of just using that logic, especially for the young kids, too. Like these days, whenever I go around, I hear all of the young adults and teenagers talking about the Diddy parties. And
Yes.
it's crazy how much the algorithm, when they want to promote something, everyone will know about it at the same time.
I absolutely agree, Sheik. We have to understand that there's no and I know you do. There's no single driving group behind everyone. There's not that. There are really weird, freaky, brain damaged people with no morality whatsoever. So when they say moral compass, it's like, no, 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 we're in the negative. We're in the negative with these people, right? It's anti compass. It's really weird stuff. And those people are allowed to skate because criminals, and this I have to thank Sheik for. Thank you very much, everyone. Uh, Murmuration or flock of seagulls, where criminals band together. All right. Uh,
Yes.
into a vector Ponzi. I did the game theory on it. I don't know how many years ago, but they like moths to a flame. Uh, the I don't know how you'd say it. The more mentally pliable people flock to them. And so they end up in a network that everyone overlooks because Hey, I can go get a woman. Hey, I can go get drugs. Hey, I can, in a super, I guess, how would you say it? The devil is in the details. And what was it? The greatest trick the devil ever played was to tell you that he doesn't exist. And it's also for him to sit there and go, yeah, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Just snort a little coke, right? Do a little doobies, you know, just sell yourself. See, that's what I was going to say. Nobody sells me down the river. I sell myself.
Yes, that's absolutely right. And I definitely got to say that cocaine is a hell of a drug, and you you gotta, you gotta stay
I
away
have,
from it. Stay away
I'm
from
not
the
going to learn.
devil.
Thank you, Sheik, for that PSA. I've seen a few people die in my lifetime. I've never done any of that, and that scared me when you watch those people. I'm glad to see that there are people that get out of it. And you're like, yes, yes, you know what I mean. Finally, you got to, but unfortunately, how would they say? It'd be the old England church fathers that said, well, guess what? If you want a false light, you're going to get a false light to follow. You're going to look for it and you're going to find it.
That is so true, and that's why even in Sufism, which is the mystical aspect of Islam, which I follow, it tells us basically that this life is a test, that God has given you the free will and accord, and you must use this life for good thoughts, good actions, good deeds, and know that one day you will leave this temporary existence and go back to God. And that's what people don't realize, that this life is indeed a test. You're a temporary guest here, and just make the best use of your time while you're here, and do not sell yourself out, sell out your fellow man, or do anything which brings any negative harm in any way, shape, or form, because that's why the devil is there, right? It's all in the details, but people don't realize until it's too late.
I absolutely agree, Sheik. I absolutely agree. I've never been in any of the different societies and stuff, but I always found myself leaning to the Odd Fellows because the Odd Fellows were more, and it's probably because just of my own select brain damage that I got, but I was always fascinated with the mechanics of it. Not, it's sad to see a kid get wrapped up in the thing, and you
Yeah.
go, okay, okay, I can get mad about that. These families destroy themselves because they choose the media, they choose the stuff that they're imbibing. Remember, what is it? No old wine in new bottles, right?
Hmm.
So you got to be careful. And I like the Oddfellow part because it was mechanical in nature. Like step one, take the gasket off. Step two, put the carburetor. And you're going, okay, thanks, man. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. Except you can't find people to tell you that. They say, well, Sheik, go float around in the nether regions staring at your navel, and one day you will find God too. And you're like, that is unhelpful. That is very unhelpful. What the hell? Now, Master Murad, I remember him. He was from Canada, and I
Uh-huh.
always liked him because he would tell you cool stuff, and I always enjoyed it. He would do his lessons. Was I don't he was Buddhist, I think. Anyway, the point was there is wisdom in other places. You're not the sole fount of wisdom. Uh, but the point was, he would tell you, well, he would tell the story about the master and shining the brick. Just keep shining that brick, and one day that brick will be shiny. And of course, the
Yes.
student's like, why am I doing this? I'm sure you'll figure it out. And I always laughed at that because it was exactly what Jesus said when he would do the parables. And for whatever reason, I don't get this. They act like Jesus didn't have a sense of humor. And so he's sitting there ripping the apostles all the time about being too dumb to understand what he says. So if he says it plain, they're not going to get it. So he's got to do it in a story so they'll get it.
Well, he says that in the book of Mark, right? That there will be
Yes.
those of you that would be
Yes,
taught
he
in
rips them.
parables,
He
and the
rips them
others
a
will
new
be
one.
basically be initiated into the inner mysteries.
Yes, and see some there it's weird the way people view that. I guess because it's through a lens of modern media. And it's like, no, Jesus was cruising around telling people, don't go do that. Just don't go do that. And they'll be like, oh, well, but the eternal light. He's like, no, what are you talking about? Just don't go do that. Just don't go do that. You're going to get yourself hurt.
Yeah,
And
that's
they're like,
absolutely right.
no, there's some greater teaching. I must reach godhood by collecting wealth. And what does he say? No, what are you doing? Don't go do that. Just don't do that. You're not going to get anything out of that. And so the rich man wanders off, and you're like, okay, how did this turn into some weird the teachings that I hear through churches, Baptist, Lutheran, etc. You hear these teachings and you're like, that has nothing to do with what he said. He said, don't stop being weird, man. Just don't be weird.
Yeah,
Right? Don't
that's
be kooky.
absolutely right. And the thing, Captain Slappy, is that Jesus, even in Islam, we're taught to love and respect the Son of Mary, peace be upon him, and believe in his second coming. I mean, I know, like, even when he went inside that temple and he saw the money changers, it's like the revenue people of the corporations today. He didn't like them even back then, and he flipped their table and whipped them.
That's correct. And that is the specific design of saying, and I always thought this was weird, and I'm glad you mentioned this because this is one of the first things that I came across that said, okay, we got to look more into this, into the corporate structure stuff, right? Now, Rome was always a corporation, and it sold a religion. Britain was always a corporation, and it sold religion, and it
Yes.
sold Christianity. Uh, I'm not, which has nothing to do with Jesus. That doesn't have anything to do with Jesus teaching you. That has nothing to do with that. Uh, Unfortunately, over here, one day I'm reading through, it was some memos to Congress about during the revolution, right before the revolution, about we want to set up our church and we want to incorporate it. And I was like, whoa, 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 no, 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 no. That's money changers in the temple. You can't do that. And then all of a sudden, everyone was incorporated as a business church. And you're like, okay, what was the point of any of Jesus's teachings on that then? What was the point? That it's okay for you to just go ahead and do that, I guess, is what he said, according to them.
Yes.
Yes. Well, what I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with a corporation. Jesus had a corporation, did he not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He had his band of merry corporators, and he was really clear about we're not incorporating. We are
Yes.
just us, and we are outside, and we're going to go do our stuff. We're not going to bother anyone except, very specifically stuff. And I've tried to cover parts of that with the other writings from your English guys. Of course, I can't read French or German, so I don't really know on that one. But Luther is a prime example of a guy that helped nobody out.
Mm-hmm.
Luther helped zero people out. He got funded by a bunch of, here's your secret society for you. He got funded by a bunch of rich landholders to kick the Catholics out so he could take control. Or so through him, those landowners could take control. So exactly who does this benefit? And not the little guy who's no closer to heaven now.
Yeah, that is so true. And if you really look at it, I always notice, like, my local township or city or state, they will always tell you incorporated on such and such date in 1800 or 17 something. And I always wonder, what does any of this mean? And I have to say, for the record, that Captain Slappy's research has really helped me out throughout the years. And I'm truly grateful for him because he has done a service to humanity. And I know God is my witness. He will be rewarded for that in this life and the next.
Well, I appreciate that, Sheik. You may not want to lay that much praise on me. Geez, I can't live up to something after that. How do I come back off the stage after that? How do I work the crowd with that? You know what I mean? I appreciate it. As the point of the videos was, one, for me to learn, two, for friends I knew to learn, three, by accident, everyone else. And I did not plan for that. Did not. Did
and
not
and
plan
and,
for
and
that.
of course the good music, which goes to my next question, Captain Slappy, is, and I always played the game, the Assassin's Creed video games, and in those games, they always tell you of a shadow war that takes place against the Hashashin group, the Assassins, and the Knights Templar. Many people would say that the Knights Templar that are in Freemasonry are like Neo Templars, like they're not connected to the original Templars. So, do the original Knights Templars, whether they're in Masonry or not, still exist, or do the Assassins or any of these groups are they still around?
Excellent question. And I have not a rebuttal, but let's say an analogy. Uh, if I read a book about corporations from Baron Puffendorf, am I not part of his legacy?
Yes.
Okay. So we can say that the old Templars, from what I understand, never actually disappeared. Their teaching still hung around. They went underground, from what I understand. And to be fair, kids, I don't understand everything. I don't know everything. I wish I did. I will tell you that I know everything, just in case you ask. But that doesn't mean I do. It just means, I can't be wrong. We can't do that. I am never wrong. Just ask me. I'll tell you. So on the Templar part, it's just a logical progression of kids going out picking up an old dusty book about Sasquatches and going, "Ooh, man, Sasquatches." Yep, that's how easy that one is, isn't it, Sheik?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, it's a bunch of kids that were mad at the Church of England going out and saying, "Oh, look at this dusty book I found in the back of the library. Let's build a whole deal around this." And you're going, "Okay." I mean, I wouldn't have done it with my time. I would have done something a little bit different, like making sure the roads were fixed. But you
Yes.
guys be you. To be fair, if you're in power, you can make sure the roads get fixed. That's the only other thing I ever wanted anybody to understand was you have the power, go take the power. That's it. If you don't like it, go fix it. What does
Yes.
YouTube tell you? What does every single garbage YouTuber tell you? Don't go do that. Give me money.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And even with my channel, I started in 2019, and I always put my stuff out there for free.
Now, I always say, Sheik, now this used to be an old argument on YouTube about money, about monetization. I started as an education channel.
Uh
It
huh.
was never intended to be monetized ever. I mean, it was literally you were either back then, it was you were either a monetized channel or education. You
Hmm.
had to pick, and I picked education. I totally understand if someone else goes out, dumps a lot of time and effort into the videos, and they take donations. Absolutely agree with that. All
Hmm.
temples do that, don't they?
Hmm.
In fact, all the old Roman teachers, all the Greek teachers used to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. I have a problem, however, as you knew this one was coming. When a foreign government shows up and says you need to do a thing,
Oh
here's
yeah.
I kind of
the
have a problem with that.
Yeah,
I also
the
have a
pool
problem.
cleaners who are getting caught recently.
Correct, correct. I'm not saying I had anything to do with that, but let me just point out that there's nothing wrong with taking $20 from a friend that says, "Yeah, here's $20 for gas." Nothing wrong with that. I've noticed that I guess people have gotten to the point, and it's devolving. This is the nature of ephemeral empires, Sheik, on the internet. Uh, it always degenerates. All right. It's a Ponzi pyramid and cult of personality. Pick one person, they're in charge of their cult, they make money, they sell merch. It inevitably degrades and collapses every time. That is one of the great teachings of Jesus and other people. Lots of people made that observation. Trust me, Rome did. You know what I mean? So it's important to realize
That is
that
so true.
it's important to realize if you want to sell out, don't be a moron like the last guy. Don't do that. He didn't survive. Why are you copying him? And
Hmm.
kids don't realize that they're copying failed models, failed corporations. This is what I hate and love about YouTube is you get to see empires grow and expand overnight and collapse and burn and wipe out their audiences. And you feel bad for them, the people, the innocent people. But it's
Yeah,
better to have
that
happened
is so
there.
correct.
It's better for it to have happened then and there than in the real world, ain't it, Sheik?
That is true, and it's like all of these cult of personalities that I've seen rise and fall. You got Alex Jones, the Tate brothers. You
I was
got the
trying to dodge names, but that's just for safety for everyone involved. But yes, I might be aware of all of them, Sheik. I might be very well aware.
But it's funny when you get them in a court of law. Like their lawyer will always say, "Oh, my client was an actor, or they were playing a role, and things like that." And then you see that they were connected to like different agencies and stuff. Like some of the conservative people that are getting caught now, like the pool cleaners.
Well, guess who
So
aren't conservatives? Guess who blows your mind are devout atheist conservatives? Guess who? Guess who? Huh,
who?
Sheik? The people you're discussing. They definitely
Yeah,
don't believe in any God other than themselves. They
yeah,
definitely have never read any teaching of Jesus or
yep,
Muhammad or anyone else.
yep, yep.
Because all the great teachers always sit and say, don't go do that. Don't go do that. Pythagoras, I always loved Pythagoras. They make a big deal out of Pythagoras. And I did that video saying these people were ragging on Pythagoras. He was a punk. He was a scumbag. The only thing he ever did was steal everything from everyone else and claim it was his. And
Yeah.
wow, did I catch hell over that one. Wow, did I catch hell over that one. They were unhappy with that one. And I was like, no, 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 you don't get to be mad. He was just a punk. He didn't magically revolutionize the world with math overnight. Go read the
Yeah.
rest of the story. He was a scumbag. He was a literal
There
scumbag.
was a Freemason named George G.M. James, and he had written a book called Stolen Legacy. I did a video on that, how like Pythagoras was involved in that scenario on how they stole stuff from like the ancient Egyptian mystery schools.
Yes, thank you, Sheik. Thank you. Because there's not enough credit given to the Middle East. There's not. And it
Yes.
is the Manichaeans, the Zoroastrians, they were all corporations that were magic schools. And I put that book up as well on Zoroastrianism years and years ago. And they literally discuss in between each other, this is a corporation. We are meant to handle understanding of how to administer a trade corporation within the walls this way. The outer temple, they consider magic. They consider what we're doing magic. That's it. That's all there was to that. They discussed that back then.
And you're right, because the Middle East is so powerful, because it is the origins of the religions and the secret societies. And many people would say that, okay, the Western Illuminati, or the people in Europe or America, they always get the spotlight put on them. But there's also an Eastern faction which like controls events as well. So what do you think of that? Like the Arab royals and the rich princes, like who just sit back and allow innocent people to die, and they don't do nothing about it, even though they do have the power to make a difference.
An excellent point. I was wondering, I was kind of wondering if we were going to get around to that because kids, I always suggest and refer people that ask me to Sleek Chic that covers the Middle Eastern philosophies and stuff. Okay. There's a reason for that. I am woefully undereducated on all that. Okay. On that specific stuff, except for the little threads, the silk threads, the little ones that I can find in the Western stuff, because obviously I cannot read Arabic, Aramaic, Sanskrit. I'm sorry, kids, I'm not that well versed. All right. I cannot do hieroglyphs. And I'm pretty sure the people that claim they could can't. But that's just me on my conspiracy theory. Anyway, that being said, let's assume that the old Middle East, after, is it Saladin? After the Knights Templars, after the Crusades, let's just go ahead and assume that they ceased to exist the way they did.
Uh-huh.
And it was due to foreign influence. If you can't beat them by battle, you beat them by influence. You beat them by media. You beat them by Coming in, Gerard Malines, Lex Mercatoria. If you can't beat them by force, you put a Walmart right next to them and sell them goods. At some point, they're speaking English, they're wearing pants, and they're blowing on tubas, and you won the war. Isn't that right, Sheik?
That's absolutely right. And when I was in the Philadelphia area between 2010 and 2015, I was working there. There was a lot of students that were coming in from Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, and their governments would
Yeah,
send
there
them.
we go.
They
There
would
we go.
send them
Sheik
to
knows.
Ivy League schools to get groomed and learn English, and then they would go back to their countries.
Now, one of the first mentions I saw of that specific system was the East India Company, as you would well know. East India Company, and there was the project done by the colonization deal with Britain, not Home Office, though Home Office did cover that. Uh, that did that with Canada and the Inuits, the Alaskans, the Native Alaskans, Native Indians, where they would grab select few of the kids, ship them into Britain, teach them, send them back.
Yeah, that's still happening today in the Sandhurst University, the Sheikhs of Sandhurst.
I will have to remember that. We can agree that Saudi Arabia, uh, Iraq, I would. I'm going to do a somewhat hot take on Iran that nothing is exactly as it seems. Uh, what if we're all on the same page and they're playing within a very strict football field at this point?
I think so too.
There's no real wild card like North Korea. I remember, and I very much so dislike the guy that did it, so I'm not going to mention his name. He kept putting out that North Korea was a CIA operation. I said, no, 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 no. You go back to Moscow and tell them to pay you better. You don't know what you're talking. No, 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 no. I did this, son. I did this. North Korea is strictly a creation of us and Russia. And we 100% worked together to make sure that happened. That's all
Yeah,
there is to that.
it's just like Pakistan and India. They're genetically the same people. Then the British left Kashmir there so they could continue to fight it amongst it, and the British control both of them. It influenced
Agreed.
them very much.
Absolutely agreed. Now, let's take a step back and let's remove the emotion from it. Uh, Remember how well versed Rome was in her day. And she is considered, and I don't know why, but quote, modern historians, unquote, that don't understand corporations at all, somehow think they were unadvanced in colony building. Rome was not advanced. They were morons. They were stupid. We're doing it. No, no, no. No, 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 no. Let me tell you something. Rome and Britain, very well, much so, understand how to walk into a territory and take it over. Straight up, they are not confused. Unfortunately, they're going into areas that are absolutely not prepared for that type of civilization. You know what I mean? They can't. It's so alien, the thought of a Britisher versus someone in Pakistan, as you know. My family were farmers and truck drivers. I was
Hmm.
very much so unprepared to understand how this worked. How about that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right.
That is so true because even in Pakistan, like from what I've seen, the top 10% of the population, like the elites, like their families would go to London, like all the politicians have homes and are living
Yes.
good lives, right? While the
Yes.
rest of the people suffer in poverty and the
Yes.
taxes are high. They want their revenue. It's
Welcome
all
to
about the
America.
revenue.
Welcome to America, Sheik, the land of opportunity to be taxed.
Yes.
To at least you have an existence. I mean, we don't got it bad by any stretch of the imagination. Not in America. Uh, I do not understand the thought process of we must go into Afghanistan and set up a colony and do this stuff and make them speak English and make them trade with us. Except if we ain't doing it, now let's assume that each country, each corporation is separate to a degree, okay? And we have competing interests. Let's assume it for this theoretical scenario. If I ain't doing it, guess who will? And you don't want the other guy doing it. At least I have some sense of morality. I don't mean our administration. What I meant was if it was me, I would just be setting up Walmarts and telling the guys, the goat herders that I get along with, because my family did goats and cows and chickens, I'm going to get along with them fine. I
Yep.
cannot stand the brain damage thinking of the other people, like you would say the elite. They're not elite, and I love how it's a faux intelligence. And it's like, I know you're not intelligent. You can't even run a Walmart right. How did you not, right? How did you not run this Walmart right? How? And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
always your fault. It's always your fault that the Walmart didn't. No, I'm just an employee, dude. I'm just the guy. Oh, it's my fault now. Yeah.
It's like Japan, for example. Japan was closed off to the world, and it was Commodore Perry, who was a Freemason, right, who tried to force him to open up. So it's like the same forces are always there. And you're right, the common man of Pakistan or America or England, like your common man and woman, they have more in common with each other. And it's these different groups that put
The
us against
literal
each other.
Freemasons were right about certain things, and they're right about the tie that binds, the magical tie. As you know, brotherhood, Sheik.
Hmm.
The,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
dude in Mexico running goats is the same as the dude in Afghanistan, the same as the dude in China running his goats and his rice paddies as me.
Yeah,
The
it's the
only
case.
one that's got brain damage is me, right? I'm the one that's thinking wrong. I
It's the
am not
cable
supposed to
toe.
go want to take his rice paddies. Let him do his stuff with his ox. If he wants to sell me rice, let's do that. But for whatever reason, post 1900, with certain families, I think we can agree that it's just got to be irritating, constant aggravation to achieve super, super simple goals. I want the guy with the rice paddy to trade with me in a language that we can both understand. Correct? Nope.
Yes,
Nope. That's too difficult, Sheik. That is too convoluted for these people. What I just told you was too hard for them to understand
yes.
because they got to grind that poor dude into dust. Must be subservient, and it's just like, why are you even doing it at this point? Because you're not making anything better. You know what I mean? You're not bringing civilization and enlightenment to the unenlightened. Really? The guy that can raise those goats can teach me more about staying alive than some prick in the Pentagon. I just got to point that out.
Yeah, and you know that's so true because even now most people don't know that the head of the British Freemasonry is always an individual of the royal family, and no Grand Lodge in the world, including the Grand Lodges in America, are globally recognized until England, the Mother Grand Lodge, recognizes them. So that power structure is still there, and they took that away from the Scottish, right, the royal family, to maintain their control. Now, many Muslim countries they banned these organizations because the British and the French were using them as spy networks within the country, and
Yes,
that's exactly what it all comes down to.
yes, because I got to see some interesting banter in the media years ago about this. Uh, uh, with Mr. Tom Hardy, at least when the discussion of the East India Company with their spy networks. Well, a spy is more than just a guy that goes and collects information. He's a guy that sets up shop, sells goods and services, gets people to do what he wants by any means necessary, and so on and so forth. So that is Freemasonry. That's the job of Freemasonry.
Hmm.
That's the job. I don't. I know people want to put it behind a lot of veils, which I understand now that I'm older why you do that. Because there's going to be a kid that listens to too much Alex Jones running to a lodge and shooting it up when in reality, right? Right. when you're supposed to sit there and go, I don't understand anything that you're talking about. Explain it to me. And they're going to say, I'm not going to explain it to you. Who the hell are you? And you go, well, why would he say that? Because you ain't ready for it, son. This is the big game. And the big
Yep.
game is control. That's it.
Yep. Yep. That's right.
Control of
Because
this is something weird too. People don't understand. I'm sorry, Sheik. I cut you out, but people don't understand. It's not physical control. It's the mark of the beast is in the hand and in the forehead. Your
yes,
thoughts.
yes.
If I can convince you of something in your forehead, your hand will do what I want. As simple as that.
There's no doubt about that. And you're right, because even myself, Captain Slappy, I've experienced Freemasonry in America and in England, and there's circles within circles within circles. There's like invitational bodies where you can petition to. Let's say if you want to join Scottish Rite or the Shrine, yeah, you could do all that, but there will be certain circles you won't be allowed into. And people
Now,
who are nominated for the 33rd are people that
yes,
are either connected
yes.
with money, politics, they're lawyers, attorneys. So
Now let's step back.
there's
That's
corruption in that system. Most people
correct.
you see are porch masons.
Correct. I agree. I absolutely agree with you. But I hold off my opinions and views on that subject outside of some in here with you that understands. Yes. Outside of here, no. It won't do any good because all I'm going to
Yeah.
be told by the other people is I must hate Masons. I must absolutely not understand how they work. Now, who the hell says that? I must absolutely not understand how bridges and roads work. They're just magic. No, that's not how bridges and roads get built. It's not magic. All right. So, in order to understand and then at least have a say, that's what all I was shooting for was a say. I get a say. Same as you. You get a say. You get to walk in and say, "No, no, I have an opinion on this. Stop just a minute and listen."
Yes.
That's the point. Now, Freemasons understand that, or I'm assuming the more elite ones understand that. Uh,
Yes.
they are busted into classes. That is just the inner and outer temple. There are circles within circles, from what I understand. Remember, everybody, I'm not a Mason. I know different Masons. Sheik was a Mason. I understand the frustration that your porch Masons or your book Masons would have because I think that they think they're going to rule the world when they go in. And the reality is the British system still holds sway where it's your last name and it's your pocketbook. Do
No
we
doubt.
agree? Okay, we agree on that, right? You're a little bit too brown and I'm a little bit too southern. Okay. Now, and that's a shame because you obviously have the talent, the skill, the PR, and the brain for it. And unfortunately, we do not live in a meritocracy. Okay. That is just life. I cannot undo that. Or,
Yeah.
well, how would you say it? I can have an influence on it, but I can't just overnight get rid of it like any more than you can. You have to allow it to degrade, right? This is what I was talking about earlier. All corporations degrade. The Confederacy, the Confederation degraded to the point they had to do the United States. The United States corporation degraded to the Civil War because of
Mm-hmm.
corruption and everything that we're talking about. Power players that were only interested in themselves had no public good whatsoever in their brains. And no, there was no such thing as an innocent person. There's just a number on a book. That's it, an entry in a book.
Captain Sloppy, that's exactly the knowledge that I was looking for. And I thank you, my friend. Which goes to my next question, is
Oh,
for
sorry about
those.
that. I've been rambling.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I'm learning from you. Which goes to my next question is, for those that are, let's say, in the very beginning of learning about the corporate nature of America and their local cities and townships, or this global corporation that we are a part of. What books or teachings or let's say things you recommend to help them get started into learning this material?
I used to have a list. It's not so much anymore. I still got the old list. I like Gerard Malign's Lex Mercatoria. I know some people find the language too weird because of how old it is.
Uh huh.
So the next one I go for is Baron Puffendorf of Nature and Nations.
Okay.
And that breaks it down in a more palatable, easier to understand step one, step two, step. It's weird. People are like, "Hey, Slappy, what's the recipe for corporation?" And you're like, "Why are you asking me? I am not Baron Puffendorf. I'm not a rich guy that lived in Berlin and went to 8 universities and was a super Freemason that could float above a table and fly through the sky. Why are you asking me? There is no recipe. There's just people talking out their ass that there is one. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that is it, my man. That is it. They just bullshit you and bamboozle you. This is the way of corporation. No, no, Jesus didn't. Did Jesus sit down? What did he say? Me, God, you, done.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah, they're pretty much some simple basic rules to follow, and we're out the door. And you're like, well, okay, how did this turn into what it is now? And that goes into understanding that everything degrades, everything atomizes or fractalizes. Here you go, Sheik. Let me get into this real quick before I forget. It's a Mobius strip that just goes infinity in a circle. It never stops.
Yes.
And so everyone has to reinvent the wheel every 10 years. The
Hmm.
next great thinker. Oh, he's coming to save you. He's the next Jesus. He hates Jesus. Yeah, that's evil. Religion is it, but he's going to be the next Jesus. He's going to come and he's going to save you, and he's going to tell you how to do a better corporation. And it
Yes.
always ends up being the same exact Ponzi scam every time, always. So we can agree that that's not the way to do it. So YouTube is a classic example of degradation by splitting hairs, or the Zeno's Achilles paradox, where Achilles races the tortoise. All right. Remember, Achilles has got to run more and more, and the tortoise is less. Okay, you get the point, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Splitting hairs, infinitely splitting hairs, or atomizing that which should never have been. Because Jesus did say you're not supposed to count men like wheat. Okay, you're not supposed to do that. Yet, what does the Doomsday Book do? Counts men like wheat.
Hmm.
All right, so you're now 2,000 years into just the. It's not enough to have a tree. It's got to have a tree with specific rights: human rights, animal rights, air rights, water rights. And you're like, okay, hold on. It is a tree. It's God's creation. I'm supposed to acknowledge it and recognize it and take care of it the best I can, right? But if I need to cut it down because I'm going to freeze to death, I'm sorry, tree, you got to go. We'll have another one in another couple of years. All right. But there is a limit to that, obviously, common sense limit that God was supposed to have given you that apparently doesn't exist anymore. Well, whatever, you get the point, Sheik. Well, it's the same thing with YouTube. Consistent fractalization. Now I have to worry about, and I don't, it's a faux light, it's a false light of me having to worry about a he, they, she, them, question mark, semicolon. And it's like, no, that's what you're worried about. That doesn't
Yes.
build bridges and roads. That takes
Mm.
people away from the places they could be best at in their own corporations. That's it. That's
Yep.
okay. And now I know I just went in a circle exactly like I just told you I was going to do, and that people do because it is the inevitable snake eating its tail.
No,
Always.
that's exactly what it is, Captain Sloppy, and it's that's how it needs to be broken down. And you've done a perfect job, like as a painter who paints a beautiful and vivid picture. And I know those listening to this will understand and be able to put these pieces together. So I think
And
that's
that's what I was
absolutely
told. I
amazing.
was once told by a friend, ancient and accepted. I was once told, listen, my man, You're wanting to look through that pasture back there with all that tall grass, right? And I'm like, okay, is he trying to do a metaphor or a parable? I think whatever. Go ahead, tell me the parable. And uh, you're trying to build a motor, and all the parts are scattered out in that pasture. Best you can do is get to it. Tell me how it turns out. That's it.
Yeah,
That was
that's
the teaching.
exactly right. That's exactly right. It's there was one Mason that I spoke to. He was a past master, and he kind of told me something similar, that you can learn all of this stuff or read all of the books or do any of this stuff, but experience is the best teacher that you will have. And
Yes.
there's a learning phase, and then there's an application phase of knowledge. Once you learned
Excellent.
everything, you got to apply it.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent. I had to learn the hard way with my vigilantism in the early days. I had to be the sledgehammer to criminals and corruption, etc. At some point, you have to grow up. You can't just be the angry toddler with a sledgehammer. You have to grow up. You can't just walk around hitting everything and
Yeah.
busting up the house. You have to step back and go, okay, we've accomplished a certain set of mission objectives. Now we chill out and we attempt to help restructuring, rethinking of how things need to be done.
Hmm.
Okay, that's it. That's it. It's not some magic. I need to go to college to learn Marxism, or I need to go to Rome to learn Catholicism. No, it's supposed to be you, which is what Jesus said. As you are supposed to do that work. Why are you constantly letting people dump their stuff in your head and then you just going out being a clone? That is not what Jesus said. That is
Yeah.
not what any of the teachers, well, the good teachers did not say that. The bad teachers say, no, no, be my clone, give me money. Pythagoras. 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 Theodorus.
Yeah, yeah, you just got to focus on improving yourself, and that's exactly what it is. All of these different initiatic paths, and I have the privilege of experiencing the East and the West. It's all pretty simple, like even what Jesus said. It's you, God, and improve yourself, live a good, clean life, do the right thing, and it's your way out of this realm. You won't come back into this realm. Like, you'll actually ascend to a higher level instead of coming back into this slavery, a realm which doesn't have any peace.
See, I'm always afraid I screwed around so much with my stuff that I'm eventually going to end up in like a Nintendo 64 game.
Uh
That's what I'm going to ascend into pinball. Right? That I really messed up, right? God's like, no, 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 no. Well, everybody's had enough of your shit, Slappy. You're going to pinball, and you're like, no. Well, at least I have disco, right? You'll play disco while I'm in the pinball. No, no, no. It's gonna be hip hop, rap. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying you're going to get all the stuff that you used to not like. That's what you're going to do. That's hell for me. All right. I've always said hell is the same day over and over and over and over, and that hell is here and now, or
Yes.
can be if you choose it to be.
Hmm.
All right, no magic, no magic. I always hated this. No magic stuff where if I think about money, money will fly through my front door. No, no, no. Jesus said, go down there and catch that fish and get that coin out of his mouth. He didn't say, lay around in your bed, watch YouTube videos and say, "Huh, no, 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 no. I'm sending my mental deals to the Sasquatch to give me money." No, what? What?
You got to work.
It doesn't. I've tried. It don't work. I've tried. Where's that Sasquatch with my money? But
You
anyway,
know, it's interesting you say that, because in the Islamic Sufi path, they tell us that the highest form of worship that you can do to Allah or God is make an honest living and take care of yourself and your family.
yes, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. The best teachers to me are super simple. There is
Yep.
no gravy that you can keep pouring on it. There's no magic. I've got to go hunt down a certain group. No, what are you going to gain from it? Because that's not what any of them taught. They taught that you were the problem, dummy. You were the problem the whole time.
Yep.
That's why it's not better, is because of you.
Yep. And that's why there's a flaming sword at the garden to keep you out until you fix yourself.
Ah, an excellent point, Sheik. Outstanding. I had not thought of that. Now, I'm never going to make it past the cherubims, which I always thought is like little frog toad people that sit there and go, no, 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 no. And you're like, come on, man, let me come in, man. It's no, no, no,
what
no,
what is
no.
what is the password?
It's my mother's maiden name. Right. And I was like, I know her maiden name. I can get in, right? No, 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 no. Wrong password. Wrong password. The, the point was, all of the whole corporation, I know people want to make more out of it than, and there's nothing wrong with saying, well, there's conspiracies there because it is a giant conspiracy. Uh, but the point is, at some point, you're supposed to stop griping about them, they, quote, they, unquote, and you're supposed to go, I'm more important than the Federal Reserve. And to be fair, let me back up. I am the same value as the Federal Reserve. I am the same value as the president.
Hmm.
Can we agree with that, Sheik? I am the same value.
Yes, of course, of
You
course.
are the same value in the corporation, or you're supposed to be, with one exception. They speak publicly. You step back and let them speak. There is more than one level to the game.
Hmm.
You can't see it all. You
Yes,
are hoping that they're trying to do the right thing. And if they're not, then you go say something.
yes.
Okay. And if they don't want to listen, then you make them listen. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Stronger words. Obviously, no illegal actions. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying I think Sheik is advanced enough to know, probably more than me, that there are things out there that I cannot understand quite yet that get the job done. How about that?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what it is, and for me, it's an honor and privilege because I really don't have the answers either, and I learned a lot from you, which goes to my next question, Captain Slappy. Is we see sometimes I'm like so disappointed with humanity, like I see all of the chaos and war and death and destruction, and even now in America, people are being so mean and aggressive to each other that is this a species even worth saving? And which comes to my next question to you is if today was your last day on earth, what message would you give to your friends, the people that love you, those that you try to educate in terms of how to fix all of this and, all of us get our stuff together?
Well, that one's easy. I'm going to take the Jesus route on that one. If it was my last day and they're like, please, Slappy, from the podium, tell us this great important knowledge. You're the boss. Why are you even listening to anything I say? You should have been the boss. Go be the
Uh-huh.
boss. You don't need me. You don't. You don't need me. Go be the boss. Go run
Yes.
it. But there's a
Yes.
caveat with that. And the caveat is when you're the boss and you get a ton of innocent people killed, it's all on you. You're the one that has to pay for that. You did that.
Oh yeah, no one gets away with anything.
No, 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 no. Your debt is in the book. In the big book, you're going to get your entry struck if you do bad enough. You
Hmm.
you get the point. Yeah, oh yes. Boy, there's a lot of people that go that way. As a species, we're just people and we run around, we do stupid stuff. That's it. I really do think the largest damage ever done in human history to humans is the TV. I really do believe that.
Yes, yes. And in some homes that I've seen, some of these guys that are like very strict Muslims, like they don't have no TVs in their homes or they don't listen to music
That was
because
my grandparents. I'll blow your mind. I will
oh
blow
man.
your gourd. That was people I knew that refused to have a TV in their house when I
Yep.
was a kid. And I am not that old, Cheek. They called it strictly the devil's box, the Satan's box, because
Hmm.
they knew that whatever was coming out of there, which was especially during the 60s, which was before me, but like with my dad, they go from watching Howdy Doody, howdy doody time, kids, let's be cool cowboys, let's do what's right and what's wrong, to no, let's get high, let's do drugs, free sex, burn down buildings, shoot cops. And it's like, okay, do you not smell the Russian all over that one? Or do you not smell other corporations inside America funding that? because it makes
Oh
them
yeah,
seem
of course.
easy.
There's no doubt, because if you think that Americans and British are operating in other lands, what makes you think that the operatives from those lands are not operating here?
You absolutely got it, sir. And every time I point out, it's a weird thing.
They're all here.
Yes, they're all here. Why did anyone think they wouldn't? It was like, do you know what would really freak me out is if I walked outside and I did not somehow find someone in the U.S. that is a Zimbabwe of all things intel agent, and you're like, huh? Well, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. You are doing that to everyone else. They are obviously gonna do that to you. That's it.
Yes.
And the U.S. has not exactly been run, how would you say it, administratively. There's a couple of truths here. Let's act like I was the CIA. All right, so
Hmm.
morality's off the table, everything's off the table. I would probably allow the Russians to come through and do that stuff, so it's easier for me to restructure
Sure.
certain thinkings for later. Let's assume that they were actual enemies.
Hmm.
Okay, and so then when the time is right, you kick them out and you're in control.
Yes.
They did your job for you. Now, it's hard to agree that that has to happen, but we got to agree that it's going to happen and it has happened.
Yeah, it's probably happening now as we speak.
Now, hey, we don't got to guess on that one, Sheik. We don't have to guess on that one.
And for the record, if the CIA is listening to this podcast, I hope you benefited from this, all these pearls of wisdom that were dropped in this podcast.
I don't think I rate high enough for some things, but there are times I do actually wonder by accident, Sheik, if I had bumped elbows for real. You have seen you've been along for the ride like so, a lot of the others that I know. Uh, all of us learning from each other and all of us doing okay. You've seen some of my stuff end up in really really weird places, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so you go, okay, wait a minute, is this some bitch gonna have me killed? Right? Is he just gonna be like one day, we're tired of Slappy. He was fun for a while, but let's break him over our kneecaps, kapow. And you're like, hold on a minute. I was just, tootling around having a good time on the internet. I did not mean to irritate the Knights of Malta. That was not my point, dude. I do not want to find out the mean end of the 2x4 of a Knights of Malta. Right? I don't.
Slappy, all of these groups, they still exist today. Like, let's say, even in the Islamic world, you have the Hashashin, or the Assassins, or the Ismailis. Like, they're still around. The Knights Templar, the Malta
And let's
people,
be clear, they
they're all
should
around.
be around. They should be around. I am a firm believer of your territory is yours. You
Yep.
should run your territory. You deal with me when you give me permission to deal with you.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. I'm guessing here. I see certain things in the Middle East, and I have to say there's more than one level going on. I'm
There's
not
no
going
doubt
to,
about that.
I don't agree with it all. Okay. I do not agree with it. All of it. No, obviously not. The Israeli thing is an example of, was I or was I not the very first one to ever put up Israel was a corporation? I was the only one
Yes.
to my knowledge. I
You
was the
were the
only
only
one that
one who did
followed
it.
that from the beginning to the end.
Yes.
Okay. And I wanted to make sure that people understood the people that built Israel have nothing to do with Judaism, do they? None.
Nope.
Nope. They wanted a cheap trade. And I love this one. I evidently made some people mad with this one. Henry Ford, right, supposedly really didn't like certain, ethnic groups, as you know, she had zero problems 5 years later exporting his tractors to Israel.
Well, on top of that, most people also forget about the Havara Agreement, which was between the
That's
Zionist and Nazi Germany. They were working with each other.
Yes, yes, yes. That's why I put that book up where the Germans are directly stating, hey, man, we may not really like this, but they're going to trade with us and they're going to leave. Here's the most important part. This is why I even put up the last set was if we do this, if we build Israel, as a company colony or help build Israel as a company colony, uh, they will leave our German company colonies alone
Yes.
or incorporate them on an equal footing. Well, guess what happened? I want to say, Sheik, it's very possible they were incorporated after World War II, don't you think?
Well, that was the whole point, because it's all interrelated and interconnected, and I guess people just need to wake up and realize they have more in common with each other, as a common
Yes,
man and a common woman. Don't let them divide you and let you be in hatred amongst one another. We have to come back to love for God, love for each other, love for self, and uplift our local communities. And that's what the people in North Carolina are finding out right now, is that the
I
feds
just heard
or
about that.
the federal government isn't going to come save you. You guys need to start at the local level and be strong locally and help each other.
Yes, you cannot be the eternal victim. The only person selling you victimhood is the person that is going to manipulate and ruin you.
No doubt.
That's it. I guess in a way you could say, I'm going to make a brief aside here. Uh, I did meet and know Colonel Aquino. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, it's super simple to understand. Now, I didn't talk to him about Temple of Set. That's not what I talked to him about. I have to explain this to people. I learned about the old Mac v. SOG stuff from Vietnam, etc. All right.
Hmm.
Covert operations, psychological operations, stuff like that. Uh, you, when someone comes to your door and says you are a victim, you have to say, nope, I'm the boss. That's it.
And that
And
dissolves the whole situation.
yes, you are not an eternal victim. Why are you waiting on someone that may never show up? Why?
Yep.
Why are you waiting to make your county better when you're the one? You have to be the one. If you don't do it, someone else is going to come and do it, and you're not going to like that guy,
That's
right?
pretty much it. That's pretty
Yes.
much it.
Let's assume. Let's go back to this one. Let's assume you don't like a congressman because, well, I don't know, Russia's paying him or whatever. You know what you could have done? You know what you could have done? Let's just blow your everyone's mind. You could have went and been that congressman. You know that, right? Or
Yes.
you could have been one of his funders or a power player that helped make sure that he did not sell you down the river. You could have done that because there are very many levels to actual power. There is the perceived level and then the actual power.
Well, it's like, if you look at the Jewish lobby, right? APAC, and how much power they have in America.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I
For
thought you were going to go more with that one.
Yeah, like for example, like, look how many like causes they fund to make sure that things go their way. So
Yes. Yes. And what
if
is
people
power?
came together
Is it
and
being
did that,
Jewish? Is power being Muslim? Or is it being Jewish or is it being Christian? No.
it's
No,
being
let's
proactive.
wow. Having the will to do it when nobody else will.
Yep, you got to be
Okay.
proactive. If they got the power to do it, so can you.
Correct. I try to I'm trying to think of a good analogy that's not weird or something, but I'm a fan of Taylor Swift. I know people hate me over this shit, but I am a fan of Taylor Swift. There's a reason for it, and I'm going to explain it right now because this is important in the conversation, I guess, in a way.
Yes.
It doesn't matter whether you like her mom, her dad, her money, or any of that. They built that from the bottom to the top. They paid off the right people. They run a corporation that is amazing, and
Yes.
they pay their workers great. And
Uh huh.
secondly, they have an outstanding PR team.
Yes.
Wasn't that the point of the colonies and the United States Corporation?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so I have to point out to people, yes, she's a singer, but way more than that. Way more than that in the background. Okay?
Well, now
I
now she's her own brand, and it's like, even with
my man, my man, lots of people put resources and time into that is all I'm ever going to say. I am outstandingly happy about that because it's not irritating music. It's clean. I guess you understand what I'm saying. It's not dirty.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, it is fashionable. I always love her dresses. It's a weird thing. It's just a thing. I like it. Um, and it's something that someone can look up to and say, okay, that's cool. Right. Right. That's it. That's it. I can go do this. And she always does her vote and stuff, her registering to vote, etc. And I know people think that's super weird for someone like me to say. So, well, didn't you want to overthrow the government and take control? Slappy? No. What? No. I had someone once ask me that. It's like, well, don't you want to do? Wait, so you're telling me how to overthrow my sheriff, either overthrow my county and take it over? That would last exactly zero point 0.5 seconds before the state come in and stomp my head. Are you crazy? No. I'm like, what is this? Are you from Moscow? Because I do not understand where you're coming up with that. That is not what I said. I said, go out, do your best, be the mayor, be the councilman. Here's the deal. Let me step back. Do I have the same power as Taylor Swift?
Yes.
Yes. Does she have the same power as King Charles?
Yes.
Yes. I am living proof. Sheik is living proof. If you want to have a say, you got to work. You got to do the work. It ain't free, right?
You got to put the effort in. That's
You
true.
have to put the effort in. And secondly, you can't be crazy. You can't be well. You can't be insane, or I mean, completely insane. You can't be like certain people we see that are in the media that are lauded. I think you mentioned a bunch of names. No, no, no. Those aren't power players, kids. Those are not power play. I can show you power players, all right, that scare me. That I go, nope, I'm not messing with this. I'm okay. I'm stepping away. I'm stepping by. I'm not going in the alleyway. I don't care what you say. I'm not going down in there to find out. All right. So my point is, there's perceived power, actual power, but all of it rolls together in you can do the same exact thing. You just have to do the same thing. I understand that the history is for learning. That is how that worked. The future was handed to you by these guys, whether you like them or not. Freemasons, Illuminists, take your pick. You have to decide on what to do. That's it. That's all there is to that. You can
Yep.
gripe. You can gripe, and you have legitimate gripes. Everybody does. Or you can go do one of the two. That's it. That's it. I see nothing on YouTube. Now, and there are commentators that I do like, right? More of the mainstream people. Let me put it like this: I like them as personalities. I think they're dog shit as they're political hacks, I guess is what you would say.
Uh-huh.
They're there to sell a product. They're not there to help you out. Okay. The point being is, if you invest your time in them, you're not helping anyone do anything. You're just getting mad and saying, I don't like, I am not supposed to worry about what Sheik's County does. Sheik needs to worry about that. If I come walking to Sheik's County, Sheik should say, stop right there. I didn't ask you to come over here. And he should run his stuff. That's all there is to that.
Yeah,
That's how that
yeah, that's
should
right.
be. Now, I will offer advice to Sheik. Sheik, what the hell do you think you're doing? You know what I mean? And she goes say, no, 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 I got a plan. I got a plan. Listen to me. I got a plan. And you go, okay. Now in the old days, that's how that was done, right? Super old days.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Not so much anymore. Not in the way it's just it's grubby. I guess as you would say it's dirty. It's not people that understand, and it's not people that try. You know what I mean? They get into an office, they just want to make the money and embezzle and do crooked shit. And you're like, why? That your job is so small and so unimportant. Why are you stealing county grader blades and selling them? Right? Wow, what? This is the epitome of human civilization. Rome. This is New Rome. This is
It's
the epitome.
it's interesting, Slappy, because it was recently in my local county, where I'm from, and they caught the parking enforcement person who was taking money from the revenue and treating herself and
I
throwing
believe
lavish
it. Yes.
parties, and they caught her and arrested her.
Oh, now here is something else that I do think is outstanding. When I very first started, I could not get a cop over here to stop a murder in progress.
Uh-huh.
Now I can. That
Uh-huh.
took 15 years and a lot of work on my end. Okay. A lot of work on my end. A lot of money, my own money, just gone, dumped, gone. But it accomplished what it was supposed to accomplish.
You made a difference, which will help so many people.
Yeah. I want you to go out in your front yard and sit in a lawn chair and barbecue and never, ever have to worry about anyone hurting you, bothering you, cussing you, or anything else. At the
Yeah.
same time, I want my cops to be bored because there is no crime. Now, I'm never going to be able to make this happen, ever. That's not how humans work. But the point wasn't to win, it was to try your best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I can't win. That's not how that works. God wins. I'm allowed to, once in a while eke out, a president on TV saying, "Oh, the United States is a corporation." That's about the best I'm going to do. All right.
Yeah, yeah. That's like Trump. I think in the last debate, he almost slipped up that this is a company, not a country.
Well, do you like Kanye? My favorite was Kanye. When Kanye did that, I was like, damn it. And I like Kanye. I understand. Well, let's step back. Let's step back, kids. Let's understand that actors act and therefore they play roles.
Yep.
And that Kanye is an actor. First and foremost, he is a professional actor.
Uh huh.
So when you get angry at him, you're making him money. And when you love him, you're making him money. And if you know of him, you're making him money. Right? It's super
Yeah,
simple.
it's like they're all listed on IMDb as actors. So.
Correct. Evidently, everybody except me and Sheik, I guess. I guess it's just me and Sheik are the
Well,
only two that
I,
ain't.
I, I gotta make a PSA. Trust no one except Captain Slappy,
I totally forgot about that.
and,
I
and
did
and
that
only
just to
listen
do
to
that.
Tay Tay.
Tay Tay. Well, I was gonna say, I'm sure they cringe if any of my stuff comes across anybody's desk. They're sitting there going, "Good God, not him again!" Right? And you're like, "Listen, my point was not. My, listen, I'm trying to explain. I love y'all are great. I'm just trying to explain. This is how you do it successfully in the right way. This don't create dead bodies. Try to be the best you can be. Da da da. The
Yeah,
old
yeah,
Superman. I had totally forgot about this, but the old school Superman, truth, justice, American way, the stuff that my grandpa fought for in World War II. And then he came back and he's like, not so much. Right? And he's
and,
like,
and, and
nah.
and that's so correct because I did a video and I read Colonel Aquino's book Mind War, and he
Oh,
talks
see, I
about
never
this.
read that. Outstanding. Go ahead.
He,
Go
he
ahead, T.
talks about the same thing that you can achieve all of the objectives and desired outcomes without a single ounce of violence. You
Yes,
can you can achieve all of that through like psychological means.
absolutely correct. Now, I'm going to kind of walk around the edge of it. Part of what I learned by accident was through my uncle, my great uncle, who was MacVSOG in Vietnam around the same time that Colonel Aquino was, but I don't think they knew each other. All right. But the point was, my great uncle was doing stuff in places like Laos and Cambodia where they were not supposed to be doing their things. All right.
Hmm.
And so the little bitty, of course, he never talked about it, but you see pictures and I remember him saying a couple things. It's like, okay, there we go. Now I understand it. Right. Now I understand it.
Yes.
So I did not read Mind War or the others for a reason. And the reason was I did not want to influence or bias what I was trying to learn and do. Okay, now we end up, as you stated, we all walk the same path. Getting there is a little different.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure that I went as far as I could without leaning on anyone. So it wouldn't influence the way I did my stuff. Right.
Yes.
Okay. And which is, I've always been a fan of one man, one vote. Everybody gets a shot. And
Hmm.
we kind of almost got that sometimes. You know what I mean? It's not great, but it's something.
Definitely.
All right. Now, on corporation stuff, remember corporations are just soulless husks that are fictions. They do not control your mind. They don't do anything at all. They're just on
Hmm.
paper. People get weird, and it's like, I'm going to beat up that building, that courthouse, if I punch it. No, my man, that's not how that works. That's
Yeah,
really no.
it's like all of the sovereign citizens or people that I've seen even in the Moorish community, right? They all want to like
Yes.
have that superiority that they're immune to
Oh,
being held
okay. That's
accountable.
outstanding. Another point is, Sheik mentioned it, and I was too dense to catch it earlier. When Sheik was talking about the elite, there's the other end of the spectrum. You're either always a victim, poor mistreated me, or you're always, I am God, I am all powerful. Yeah,
Hmm.
no, no. You're just a piece of meat walking around saying stupid stuff. You know what I mean? You're having delusions of grandeur, and literally a deer could run by, trip you, and you hit your head on concrete and you died. So
Yeah.
you're obviously not all powerful. The squirrel will outlive you. So what is the? Because I once had a double murderer. This is true. This is a true story. Tried to have me explain to him corporations. All right, and I
Uh-huh.
was like, listen, uh, I get that you're mad at cops because you got caught. You do know you were the one that did that, right? You were the one that did all that. Well, yes. So you're mad that you got caught, right? Yes. And so you want me to explain corporations and how they work?
Hmm.
Yes. So you're being combative to these different people because somehow you don't understand a fiction isn't reality.
Sure.
And he says, yes. And I said, I got a question. I want you to, next time you're out in the yard, go out in the yard and I want you to talk to that tree. And he says, I don't understand. I said, I know. That's why you're mad at the cops. That tree doesn't give two shits about any of this. It will
Yeah.
outlive you and all of these people. That
Yep.
tree will not vote come tomorrow. It will not build bridges and roads. It will never be more advanced than a tree. But that tree is more advanced than you can imagine.
Yep. It knows its place and it knows its roles and it
There it
knows
is.
not to
There's the chic
step
I
its
like.
boundaries.
There's the chic I like. Each brick, an odd thing that I picked up, each brick goes in its own race. It goes in its own spot in its own race.
Yep.
The tree knows his place. The squirrel knows his place. Who, I ask you, God, does not know his place?
Yep. And it's interesting because there was another past master I had encountered in the Philly area. He was a Jewish guy in his 50s. And I asked him, "What's your secret of success to life?" He said, "Just do the right thing and keep your head down, and no one in this country will bother you."
That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
Be under the
That's
radar, do the right thing, and yeah, it doesn't matter
what now
what race
that
or religion you are, you'll be okay.
that is something I had to counsel to a couple of people. I again, they were misunderstanding me. Or again, kids, Captain Slappy is a placeholder. I am me. Uh, Captain Slappy is not me. I am Captain Slappy. All right. He's not a separate dude that runs around. This is me all the time. I just use Captain Slappy because I'm involved in other stuff that does not require my face and all this other stuff. Uh, the point being, well, hell, I forgot the question. What was the question, Sheik? I was going on a rant. I was getting ready to do a good one. Come on, man. Help me out.
Oh yeah, we were just talking about how like everything has a specific role in society and how we must honor that role. And you have those people, right, that go into that mentality that I am God, I am all powerful. You got the
Yes,
sovereign citizens, and they end up getting in trouble.
I apologize, kids. I lost my own place. That's fairly rare for me. Not super rare. I'm starting to get old. I'm starting to get old, kids. I can't do nothing about it. So, I shove so much stuff in my head. Sometimes I get off, especially when I'm trying to wrap it all back around. Uh, so let's just take a step back on corporations and everything. It's a fiction that doesn't exist. The tree doesn't care. Let's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
grow up.
that's
Let's
right.
all grow up and understand uh, I'm your next door neighbor. Try to keep the music down, and I won't be shooting off my AR-15 at midnight. All right, super simple system. Super simple system, right? And somehow it's not. I don't know how. Well, I do know how. I've gotten into more advanced murmuration, mimetic stuff because of you, Sheik. Uh, and I'm going to leave off of that.
Oh yeah, let's. We're approaching the 2 hour mark, so if you, I let you go, and I thank you, my brother and friend, for this gift of knowledge that you've given me and given to others. And this is the Sheik Files, episode 1 with Captain Slappy. And inshallah, God willing, in the future, we will do more talks together. So if there's anything, my brother, that I failed to ask you, or if there's anything that you would like to say, please take your time without any interruption.
Hey, I apologize for interrupting you, Sheik, but when I get excited, I get a little excitable once in a while because it's not like I sit down and talk about this stuff in the real world with a lot of different people because
Yes,
those people don't care. Now, who said they're supposed to care? In order to have the flour, you got to have the bullshit. All right. So let's be real. To get that flour, you got to have a lot of manure. All right. Anyway,
absolutely.
so what is it? You got to have the rock to sharpen the sword. I mean, you got to have so on and so forth. There's no great wisdom here that I have come up with by myself. I am the end result of a ton of other people, and that is just life. I
Yes.
The only understanding that I could ever give anyone, but is okay. The U.S. is a corporation. What are you doing about it? Are you going to run it? Okay, we'll go run it. Tell me how it turns out. That's it. All right.
Yep.
If you don't like it, go do something about it. I mean, there are tons of CIA people and everyone else on the planet in every country that sit down and say, "Huh, I ought to go do something about that," and then they go do it. Now, if we had more people like that in the U.S., you wouldn't see a lot of the stuff that you disagree with.
I think so too.
Who would have thought that the simplest thing was to turn off the TV for right now? Now, I'm not saying I don't like some TV. I do, obviously, but especially if my stuff's in it, you damn right I'm going to watch it. Come on, kids. But the point being is, you're supposed to turn it off, step back, and go, okay, this is not mine. This is how it's supposed to work. Or I dislike certain things. Let's fix that. That's it. That's my
I'll
great
I'll,
wisdom.
I'll only watch the TV if Tay Tay's on TV.
Sheik is going to give me hell over that one. I, I'm just a fan because it's a corporation that works and works at this level. Her corporation works at such an extremely effective, large scale level.
Yes,
She rivals. This blows my mind. You know, Disney and Taylor Swift rival the largest corporation empires to have ever existed.
that's absolutely right.
That should blow your mind that she is as effective and as large as the East India Company was at its height.
Exactly, and that's a single person doing all of this.
Yes. And the example is then the great wisdom is you could go do that too. You could. I
Yep,
went did my stuff. I was just trying to get cops to show up for murders. Right,
and
that's it.
and you did it, and God knows how many lives you saved in the past, present, and future just because of that activism and making that difference.
I would like to think I had a positive impact. I would like to think so.
You
But
have.
we both know at the end of the day, Big Boss is going to judge that.
Yes.
Yes. Now, everybody, remember that I appreciate Sleek Chic and everybody else that I know uh, ever wasting time with listening to any of my stuff. My stuff is just meant, well, nowadays it's meant more for fun and a little bit of operational stuff, but it's meant to have a decent time, maybe not a great time, but a good time. You know,
And you get to listen to good music.
I do need to expand my music library. It's hard for me. I don't know about you, Sheik. I've been doing it so long. I'm having a little bit of trouble on inspiration for videos
Yes.
because I don't want to reply to one dude that said a thing one time. No, it's a waste of my time.
Yeah, yeah.
We're a bigger game. We're a bigger level,
Yep.
right? Okay. And so I have to sit back and go, okay, I promise to finish this up, or I promise to finish that up. And I'm finding it harder and harder. I just want to make it to year. But by the way, thank you to Sleek Chic because this is my 14th year and we're
Happy
coming up.
anniversary.
I appreciate that. And happy 15th, possibly. I don't know after 15th. I don't know if I'm going to have the interest in it, Chic, after that point because it's already done. I already did what I wanted to do. So anything
Yes.
after a certain point, you go, well, am I just hanging around being an irritant? Am I
Yeah, I mean,
slumping?
it's basically like when you know when to exit. It's like being in any organization or being in any
Yes.
initiatic order or anything like
Yes.
military
The
wise.
kids are supposed to pick up the burden and go.
Yeah,
I did my
you got to know when you played your role and when to exit.
yes, and I'm wondering if that's not this next year. But my point was, I appreciate Sheik for even asking for the interview because I don't do interviews because I know I talk a lot and I know I ramble a lot, but I always try to bring it back around.
No, I
And
loved it, and I stress to the people that trust no one except Captain Slappy.
ah, okay, now uh, I'm going to give my finisher, which is goodbye everybody, goodbye. All right. Which is not. I used to do the old TV announcer voice. I kind of like doing it. It's weird to do it with another person here, though. That's what weirds me out. It's like, oh, well, you know, oh, goodbye, everybody. I'll see you next week. Like a DJ or whatever. Oh, it's a sure good time that we had together today. You know,
I'm truly grateful for you, my brother and friend. You gave me 2 hours of your life and your time, and gifted me with your knowledge and brotherhood. I pray Allah, God, Jesus always blesses you and your family, and my love and blessings are always with you. And I'm truly grateful that people like you exist in this world, and just your presence alone and others that exist like you and I, we're making this world a better place, and I have faith in that.
I appreciate that. I would not have said all that flowery stuff for me, but I do appreciate. I was in the military, so you could just said, "Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, yeah,
He's all
definitely.
right. Yeah, he's not all that bad." I do appreciate it, Sheik. Obviously,
Yeah, definitely. You're a good man, and I thank you. And yeah, anytime in the future we'd like to do a part two, I'm always here for you.
very possibly, sir. Assuming I could actually be of any use in that comes down to your questions because I have to work. It's weird to talk to someone about it like this, so I have to work off of something, and I'm not a PR guy, so I don't really know what to go for. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Okay. All right. So I guess we're at the end of the show. I appreciate it, Sheik. You close out, and then do I hang around for after it? How does?
No, that's it's pretty much over once I do the closing.
Okay, sir. I appreciate the heck out of it. Uh, please do your closer.
Thank you, Captain Slappy. I appreciate this gift of knowledge that you have given all of us. And I encourage everyone to check out Captain Slappy's channel. I'll put it in the description below to watch all of his videos and all of the knowledge that he has gifted us with. I've certainly benefited much from it, and I'm truly grateful for him on this journey. And I'm just glad for the time and knowledge that he has given us. And I pray that God blesses him and his family and all of us, all of the good souls that are in this world in this pivotal time that are trying to make a difference and trying to uplift fallen humanity. I hope we all succeed. And the main message that Captain Slappy has given us is that we have to make our individual efforts and stop being a victim and do the right thing with the time that God has given us. And the last thing that I would like to say is that trust no one except Captain Slappy. And with
God
that,
bless Sheik.
God bless you, my brother. Peace out.